Hello, you are most welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your understanding spirit of anatomy on Tuesday night anatomy with Daniel Okwan. Today's section, we continue with a series regarding the embryonic development of the gastrointestinal tract together with the abnormalities that are associated with said development. Okay, so my friends, this is the second part of that series. Without wasting my time, let's set the ball rolling going through these few questions. Well, we begin our revision exercise with question number 1, and question number 1 says the liver and pancreas bud from which part of the gut tube? My friends, we know that we have the primitive gut, which is of course differentiated into what we call foregut, midgut, hindgut. Okay, and we have an outportion structure of the hindgut, which is known as allantois. My friends, with this one, we are supposed to tell the derivative, the source for which we will get the liver and of course the pancreatic bus. Yes, both the ventral and of course dorsal pancreatic bus. Now, so if you look at this one, of course, the answer is going to be the foregut. The reason is simple because we know that it is the foregut which gives, all those things like the respiratory bud, okay, the hepatic bud, the ventral, and of course, the dorsal pancreatic bus. Okay, so, we go and of course, we justify this, yes. And so there we are. That's what we can see. This by way of the foregut, and if you get to the terminal portion of this foregut before you get to the midgut, you see that of course the hepatic bud will of course emerge out, yes, giving rise to of course the gallbladder also. And then we have to also understand that coming from of course the ventral aspect, okay, of the foregut, the terminal portion of foregut, we see the ventral pancreatic bud emerging. But one thing I want you to understand is that the one which emerges first, as far as the pancreatic buds are concerned, is, my friends, the dorsal pancreatic bud, where it's a bit at the cranial level, and of course it is enormous in terms of the tissue content. Okay, so that is what I want you to become aware of. So by way of course the origin of the liver and of course the pancreas, there will be of course derivatives of what we call the foregut. My friends, quickly we go to the second question, and second question says, during embryonic development, the pancreas originates from which germ layer? And my friends, the options over there, we have of course option A to be ectoderm, option B to be endoderm, option C to be mesoderm, and of course option D to be undifferentiated extra embryonic mesoderm. Now we are going to go through it, but one thing I want you to become aware is that as far as undifferentiated lateral, extra embryonic mesoderm is concerned, yes, that's out of the picture because this guy is the one which will be giving rise to, of course, the connecting body or the connecting stalk. Okay, going to help with, of course, the development of what you call the umbilical cord. Okay, so this one is out of the picture. So one thing we should understand is that because the pancreas originates from, of course, the terminal portion of the foregut, derivative of it, then it tells me that because the foregut, okay, develops from, of course, the yolk sac, and anything from the yolk sac, okay, then it tells me that it is endodermal in origin. And that is why, my friends, the answer, okay, for this question is going to be option B. Yes, rapidly, I have this, snapshot over here for us to go through it quickly. Okay, if you look at that of the ectoderm, yes, I've done several videos regarding some of these things. Yes, ectodermal structures, which sometimes, yes, may be coming from, of course, the neural crest cells only. Okay, so for instance, we talk about epidermis of the skin together with, of course, its appendages. And what do I mean by the appendages? I'm talking about the sweat gland, I'm talking about the sebaceous gland, I'm also talking about the hair follicles, okay, the nail. They will be ectodermal in origin. But my friends, anything which is very close, communicating with the external environment by way of the epithelial lining of the mouth, okay, together with that of the rectum, will also be ectodermal in origin. Of course, we talk about the sensory receptors, which will be in the epidermis, no doubt about that. Of course, we talk about the cornea and lens of the eye, okay, which, and then we talk about the nervous system, okay, you know about that one, the neural tube going to give rise to these things, adrenal medulla, okay, which is very important, yes, coming from those neural crest cells only. Of course, the enamel, okay, of the tooth. Okay, that is what we see, and we know that of course the enamel, okay, will of course be secreted by these cells. We call them odontoblasts. Okay, they will be secreting these cells, and then actually ameloblast. Then we talk about the epithelium of the pineal and of course the pituitary gland also will all be ectodermal in origin. Okay, if you look at that of mesoderm, talk about the notochord, talk about the muscle, talk about the bone, okay, by way of the skeletal system, okay, the cartilage, okay, over there, okay, talk about the excretory system, okay, most part of it, we will appreciate that. We talk about that of the circulatory and of course lymphatic system. By way of the epithelial lining will of course be mesodermal. Okay, so I want you to understand that, together with of course respiratory system, except of course the germ cells, the skin, the dermis, the connective of the skin will of course be mesodermal. One thing we are aware is that connective tissue is the one which will be giving rise to connective mesenchyme, which is mesodermal, is the one which is giving rise to connective tissue, and the dermis is the connective tissue of the skin, the lining, okay, of the the various ventral body cavities that we have, yes, together with of course the adrenal cortex. And one thing we know about these things is that, especially for glands, okay, which will be mesodermal in origin, one thing that we understand is that by way of the secretion, yes, mainly they will be producing this kind of steroid hormones. Now to the endoderm, okay, the one which is of interest as far as this question is concerned, okay, we talk about the epithelial lining of especially the digestive system, of course the respiratory system. I want you to understand that. Yes, not forgetting some portion of the urethra. We see that urinary bladder, okay, not everywhere anyway, some portion of the respiratory system. We talk about the liver. Yes, all these things, they are coming from the foregut only, the liver, the pancreas, okay, the thymus, okay, from of course then we talk about the thyroid gland together with of course the parafollicular, talk about the parathyroid glands. Now all these things will be from of course the endoderm. Okay, they will be endodermal in origin. Okay, so that is what we find. Now we go to question number 3 in a rapid section. It says that at the end of which week of gestation, in other words, which week of intrauterine life marks the initiation of pancreatic development in humans? My friends, one thing I want you to understand is that we have the 3rd week, 4th week, 5th week, yes, 6th week. But as far as the termination of the 4th week of embryonic development is concerned, yes, we see the commencement of the development of the pancreas. Yes, you can say 4th, 5th week, but of course the 5th week we are talking about of course the initiation. But as far as the terminal portion, okay, of the 4th week is concerned, yes, the answer is going to be of course the 4th week. Okay, so please, I want you to understand that. So there we are. As far as the pancreas is concerned, yes, of course the dorsal pancreatic bud will emerge early, okay, followed by of course the ventral pancreatic bud, which of course I've said that they are both derivatives of the caudal portion of what you call the foregut. Okay, that's the important thing. And remember that these two bars, yes, we've explained some of these things only. Okay, so one thing that you have to understand is that as far as this ventral pancreatic bud is concerned, you can see that yes, it comes, okay, at the proximal end of where we have the hepatic bud, which of course will form of course the liver together with the gallbladder we've discussed only. And then of course, as far as the dorsal pancreatic bud, okay, is concerned, to develop, okay, at a dorsal aspect of course of the wall of the duodenum. Okay, actually we're talking about the first part, yes, of the duodenum, second part of the duodenum. Okay, so that is one thing I want you to know. And as I told you, it will be a bit above, okay, to a bit cranial compared to that of the ventral pancreatic bud. Now one thing we've established, okay, already, is that of course through that kind of anastomosis, okay, of the various of these two bars, okay, we will have what we call as far as the lower head and of course the uncinate process is concerned, they will be of course coming from the ventral pancreatic bud, because that one will come below over here. And then of course the remaining portion by way of the upper head of the head of the pancreas, talking about the neck, talking about the body, and of course the tail, will be coming from of course this larger dorsal pancreatic bud. Yes, we will see another question where we talk about the duct system also. Yes, we go to question number 4, and quickly the question says the accessory duct of Santorini of the pancreas is a derivative of. Now my friends, options over here says, option A says the proximal part of the dorsal pancreatic duct. Okay, so this actually, yes, is the correct answer. I'm going to justify that one for you. I'm talking about the proximal part of the dorsal pancreatic, duct. And one thing we know is that this, accessory or the minor pancreatic duct of Santorini, what is going to happen is that it will open, okay, in what we call the minor duodenal papilla. Yes, above where we have the major duodenal papilla. Now, option B says it's formed from the distal part of the dorsal pancreatic duct. Yes, already we've seen our answer. So this is not the answer, because this portion, where is the distal part of the dorsal pancreatic duct, will contribute to the formation of the major pancreatic duct of Wilson. Okay, so that's the point. Now, option C says the dorsal part of ventral pancreatic duct. My friend, the point I want to make out over here is that as far as the ventral pancreatic duct is concerned, it is not differentiated into dorsal and ventral parts. So this one already, yes, it's not even part of the choice that I have to even think of. Now, option D said the ventral pancreatic duct. Yes, it makes sense. But my friends, as far as the ventral pancreatic duct is concerned, it will combine with, of course, the distal part of the dorsal pancreatic duct to form the major pancreatic duct of, Wilson. My friends, there we are. That's what we've been talking about over here. This portion, that's what we can see over here. Now you come here. This is the accessory duct of Santorini, and we can see that it is coming from the cranial portion, the proximal portion of what we call the dorsal pancreatic duct. Okay, that is what we see. Now, my friends, the distal portion of the dorsal pancreatic duct together with, of course, the ventral pancreatic duct, yes, together will form what we call the major pancreatic duct of Wilson. Okay, so please understand, these things. Okay, so that's the point that I want you to become aware. And we know that the accessory pancreatic duct of Santorini will be opening, okay, a bit above that of the major pancreatic duct, which is, of course, the opening for the major, pancreatic duct of Wilson. That is where, the minor pancreatic, duodenal papilla will be the point of opening for, of course, the accessory pancreatic duct of Santorini. Okay, while, of course, the major pancreatic duct will be opening in what we call the major duodenal papilla. Okay, so that is the useful thing I want you to become aware of. Now, this concept, I'm going to explain it where I'll talk about the pancreatic divisum. I will explain that concept for you in our next, question. Now, in our final question, it says that failure of fusion, between of ventral and dorsal pancreatic bars, okay, leads to which congenital, anomaly. Now, whenever the pancreatic bars fail to, of course, anastomose correctly, or if their ducts, yes, fail to even anastomose, then, my friends, it will lead to something that we call, pancreatic divisum. So, as far as the options over here are concerned, yes, the answer is not annular pancreas. In annular pancreas, what we see is that usually the ventral pancreatic bud, yes, becomes bifid. It differentiates into two, and therefore they encircle the wall of the duodenum, and it can also lead to, duodenal atresia also, or that kind of stenosis of actually the duodenum. And then if we talk about the ectopic pancreas, we have pancreatic tissue developing at a place where it has no relation with, okay, it finds itself at a completely different place where, by way of blood vessels, okay, by way of, branches or whatever, it has no relation, okay, to that area at all. And then pancreatic agenesis, yes, failure for it to develop only. This is not the case. The development by way of the bars, okay, have, developed. The only thing is that it's the failure of course, the anastomosis of these, bars. Now, justifying these options, this is what I want you to become aware of. Now, the commonest congenital anomaly as far as the pancreas is concerned is, my friends, the pancreatic divisum. So now, please look over here. Now, that's what we see. There's the ventral pancreatic bud. You're supposed to anastomose with, of course, this dorsal pancreatic, bud. Okay, so the ventral pancreatic, there's the guy over here, and there's the dorsal pancreatic bud, where is the larger bits at the cranial level. Okay, so this guy is supposed to move. Okay, the ventral pancreatic bud is supposed to move by way of through rotation. Precisely, we call it differential growth of the wall of duodenum, so that it comes towards the inferior or the caudal aspect of the dorsal pancreatic bud, and then from there will be that kind of anastomosis. So that's what we see. Now, it has tried to come, okay, that's what we've seen, where we have the dorsal pancreatic bud together with its ducts. Of course, the ventral pancreatic bud together with its ducts. Okay, that's what we've seen. It says the rotation of the ventral bud in fusion with the dorsal, bud. Okay, so that's the point that we want to become aware of. So if that happens correctly, then what is going to happen is that it's going to be that kind of correct fusion of the bud together with, of course, the duct systems. Okay, so that's what we can see over here, where you can see that of the ventral pancreatic duct, okay, anastomosis with, of course, the dorsal pancreatic duct, so that we can have a major, okay, pancreatic duct of Santorini, okay, which will be opening at the caudal larger major duodenal papilla, and then the portion which emerges from superior portion of the junction of the anastomosis of the ducts will form what we call the minor or accessory pancreatic duct of Santorini, opening into something we call the minor duodenal papilla. Now, there could be a situation where there's complete, okay, now let me talk about this one before I'll come to the complete one, where there is that kind of incomplete pancreatic divisum. Yes, I want you to know that. And that's not actually the classic one, because what we see is that there will be some kind of, small caliber channel by way of the duct, okay, anastomosis. Okay, so it can happen. So this will be, yes, a bit, a milder, okay, form of this pancreatic divisum, okay, by way of the structure over here. However, if there is that kind of unfused pancreatic duct system at all, there's no fusion at all, then that becomes the classic or the complete pancreatic, divisum. Okay, so that's what I want you to become aware of. Now, in such a case, what do we see? We see that this time around, okay, the so-called, this guy was supposed to have been, okay, the minor or accessory pancreatic ducts, okay, of what we call Santorini. Okay, you see everything, okay, moving in here to what we call the, this time around, it's going to where, we can say that that's the, the larger one. So let's say this is the main pancreatic duct. It's going all the way to the cranial portion. So that's where we have the minor duodenal papilla, okay, opening to the smaller minor duodenal papilla. While, of course, the larger one, which is, of course, at the ventral aspect, okay, sorry, the smaller one, which is at the ventral aspect by way of what we call the ventral pancreatic duct, yes, opening into the larger major duodenal papilla. Okay, so one thing that you have to understand is this. Now, oftentimes what we see is that, yes, this fusion is actually supposed to take place, okay, around the 8th week of intrauterine life. 8th week, this anastomosis of the duct supposed to take place around that time. So failure for it to take place, yes, then it's likely going to lead to this, what we call the pancreatic, division. Okay, more or less like it's divided, so to speak. Okay, and of course the cause is largely, idiopathic. Yes, we cannot really explain. It hasn't been, yes, well characterized, by way of the explanation, okay, to this, concept. Well, another thing too that we've seen, okay, which is often associated with individuals present with this pancreatic divisum, especially the classic, case of pancreatic divisum, is that we see that, yes, there will be, of course, that kind of, vomiting, of course, that nauseating effect, situation. Of course, there will be that kind of, epigastric pain, okay, over there. And then individuals with pancreatic divisum, they are highly susceptible to this guy we call, acute pancreatitis, yes, which will also lead to that kind of chronic, situation. And then most people, because of that pain and all that, they become highly, intolerant, okay, as far as, these things, are concerned. So largely speaking, what I want you to know is that whenever we have these two duct systems, by way of the tail, the body, okay, the neck, okay, largely they will be drained, okay, by, of course, the so-called major, let me put it that way, the separate major pancreatic duct, okay, which will be opening into the minor duodenal papilla. And then as far as the head is concerned, that one will be draining, yes, together with on-snake process, will be draining this lower portion over here into the major, pancreatic duct of what we call Wesson. Okay, so that is, one thing I want you to become aware of. Yes, the other part, which is also one of the congenital anomalies, yes, most times it may be second, okay, or it will come, okay, by way of the prevalence. Okay, the commonest is pancreatic divisum, but this guy is the second commonest guy, which you call the annular pancreas. Okay, so I said that the annular pancreas, we have the pancreatic tissue, especially from the ventral pancreatic bud, okay, splitting, becoming bifid, and therefore encircling the wall of the duodenum. Okay, so that is one thing that we've discussed, leading to that kind of stenosis of the duodenum. My friends, this was a very quick discussion of these few questions, okay, for you to understand, okay, all these things regarding, okay, the concepts of some bits of the part 2 of the embryonic development of what we call the gastrointestinal tract. I'm very grateful for your time this evening. Have a good night, all of you, and may the good Lord richly bless you. Amen.